Welcome to P Stories. Tonight, I invite you to step with me into the dark, so deeply unsettling. This isn't just a tale, it's a chilling unraveling of human depravity, ancient black magic, and a vengeful spirit that defied burial. Our tale begins in a remote old forest temple, nestled deep within the wilderness. This isn't just any temple. It guards a graveyard so notorious for its malevolence that it bears that chilling name, Phai. The story was recounted to me by a friend who heard it from a venerable gravedigger named Uncle Pack. He is a man whose eyes hold the weight of countless buried secrets. Secrets he shared with us on a journey to an ancient decaying tree stump, a silent monument in that very graveyard. This spot, he told us, his voice a low rumble, this is where it all ended for her. The air grew heavy as he began to recount events that started more than 40 years ago, a saga of human darkness, black magic, and a vengeful spirit that defied burial. It was 4 decades ago, a man and a woman who presented themselves as siblings fleeing hardship. They settled with relatives, trying to eke out a living by selling vegetables. But this innocent facade hid a sinister truth. They were not siblings, but husband and wife, deeply entangled in the dark arts, and their true intentions were far from benign. They pretended to be siblings to gain sympathy, knowing that appearing as a troubled brother and sister would evoke more compassion and trust than a husband and wife. The woman, known as Phai, soon found work at a wealthy merchant's shop in the market. What followed was a disturbing downward spiral. The merchant, a respected figure in the community, inexplicably became obsessed with Phai. He sexually assaulted her and she became pregnant. Yet instead of condemning her, he would furiously defend her against his own children, blinded by an unknown dark influence. His infatuation was so profound that it bordered on madness. Then one day, in a shocking turn of events, he died suddenly during intimacy with Phai, a victim of an abrupt heart failure at the age of 77. Upon their father's sudden death, the merchant's children, a son who was a police officer and a younger daughter, wasted no time. They openly reviled and humiliated Phai and her brother, casting them out like dogs, fearing they would try to claim their father's inheritance. This act of cruelty was met with a chilling curse from Phai's brother. "Remember this day, you will suffer worse than dogs." And so the curse began to unfold, a horrifying testament to the dark power they wielded. First, the eldest son, the policeman, was mysteriously shot dead in his own home by his loving wife. She was later found bewildered, claiming no memory of the act, only regaining consciousness when she was already in jail. Then the younger daughter fell gravely ill, losing almost all her hair, likely to cancer. Her fate was even more grotesque. Her nanny discovered her crawling on all fours, consuming her own excrement, just like a dog, a direct fulfillment of the curse. She then descended into madness and soon perished. The villagers, now terrified, whispered that Phai and her brother must have used black magic, probably from Cambodia. With the merchant's family obliterated, Phai opened a small rice and curry shop. To everyone's astonishment, it flourished. Customers flocked from all corners, captivated by her food's unique, irresistible flavor. Her secret? A truly horrifying ritual. As the curries simmered, Phai would squat naked over the steaming pots, chanting dark incantations, letting her sweat and bodily fluids drip into the food. This was her horrifying charm, a vile form of black magic to ensnare her patrons and ensure their undying loyalty. During this time, Phai gave birth to a son. Strangely, he had curly hair and dark skin, unlike the fair-skinned merchant. This immediately raised whispers among the villagers about his true parentage, making them question if he was indeed the merchant's child. Phai's brother soon befriended a charismatic, wealthy man named Phai. Phai instantly desired him, despite him being married with a heavily pregnant wife. The dark plot began. Her brother convinced Phai to let him bless his home by removing all sacred protective amulets and statues, claiming he was interested in collecting them. He then presented Phai with an ominous gift, a small effigy claiming it was a powerful protective charm. In reality, it was a malevolent, flesh-eating spirit disguised as a protective idol, an open door for the darkness to enter Phai's home. That very night, a horror unfolded. Phai's pregnant wife suffered a nightmarish attack. She screamed, bleeding profusely, as her child was ripped from her womb in a grotesque miscarriage, leading to her death from blood loss. She described a terrifying vision, an old, gaunt woman with long, unkempt hair, dark lips and nails, biting her, reaching inside her. This was undoubtedly the Pob spirit that had been brought into their home. Phai was devastated, drowning his sorrow in alcohol. It was then that Phai struck, weaving her black magic. Phai, vulnerable and grief-stricken, fell completely under her spell, marrying her and forgetting his own family, even failing to recognize his own mother. He was completely controlled, speaking only in support of Phai. Phai's parents, distraught by their son's inexplicable behavior, eventually sought help from a revered monk who immediately recognized the signs of dark magic. They managed to give Phai blessed water and food, which broke Phai's hold on him, freeing him momentarily to remember his parents. But Phai was cunning. Realizing her spell was broken, she feigned deep repentance, crying and begging for forgiveness from Phai's parents, slowly regaining their trust. Once accepted back into the household, she wasted no time. She secretly repeated her vile ritual, preparing food laced with her dark magic, cementing her control over Phai once more. Then, Phai and her husband conspired to permanently remove Phai's parents. Her husband provided the tools for a black magic ritual, 2 effigies of Phai's parents, one with a nail driven through its mouth, another burned on the chest. These were buried beneath the house. Soon, the horrors began. Phai's father, while cutting bamboo, tragically stumbled, impaling himself on a sharp bamboo stake that pierced his mouth and severed his tongue, mirroring the nail in the effigy. Days later, his mother, while cooking, suddenly felt an unbearable burning sensation in her chest, stumbled and fell face first into a pot of boiling rice, dying in the inferno that consumed part of their home. The dark ritual was complete, leaving Phai still in Phai's thrall, oblivious to his parents' brutal murders. With their parents brutally murdered, Phai remained in Phai's thrall, oblivious, but his younger brother, Chan, who had been away for years, returned. The same venerable monk who had previously advised their parents revealed the grim truth about Phai and her husband. Enraged, Chan rescued his weakened, sickly brother from Phai's clutches, pulling him from the hut and bringing him to the temple for sanctuary and protection. Chan then prepared for war. Clad in a vest emblazoned with sacred symbols, armed with powerful amulets and a consecrated blade, he marched back to Phai's hut, determined to exact vengeance. He found a magical effigy of his brother lying inside, a testament to Phai's dark control. Deep within the hut, he heard sounds. Pushing open the door, he witnessed a truly horrifying sight. Phai and her brother engaged in a repulsive, incestuous act. Overwhelmed by disgust and fury, he struck. With his sacred blade, he impaled Phai's brother.
her true husband, killing him instantly. Phai screamed, naked, and fled. Chan pursued her, stabbing her repeatedly, then, with a decisive stroke, slit her throat. But his rage was not sated. He bound her lifeless body with a thick rope, then, sobbing and screaming about his murdered parents, dragged her corpse for nearly a kilometer all the way to the temple. As he reached the temple, with one final furious pull, Phai's head tore clean from her body, her internal organs spilling out.
That very spot where Uncle Beg had pointed to the old tree stump became the place of her final grotesque moments. And the path Chan dragged her along? It's now famously known as Headless Road, a stretch of land where no vegetation dares to grow, forever cursed by the violence it witnessed. The truth finally emerged. The brother was her husband, and their child, the one with the strange features, was theirs, not the merchant's. The relative who had initially sheltered them confessed that Phai and her husband had threatened to kill her if she revealed their true relationship, so she was relieved they were gone. The monk ordered the husband's body to be burned immediately, leaving no trace, but inexplicably, Phai's body was stored in a coffin, not cremated, and placed near the monk's living quarters. She quickly became the most terrifying ghost in the region, haunting the temple, appearing naked to monks, and even sexually tormenting gravediggers. Gravediggers repeatedly tried to move her coffin further away due to her extreme malevolence. One gravedigger was terrified when her coffin disappeared and reappeared, and she transformed into a monk's corpse inside the coffin. Another gravedigger was sexually harassed by her ghost, crying out for her to take him. The graveyard ultimately became known as Phai Ri Phai, meaning Phai has been defeated, but her spirit remained defiantly undefeated. A young, fearless gravedigger named Can tried to burn her body, believing it would end the hauntings, only to be tricked by Phai's malevolent spirit into burning an innocent man's corpse. He searched for her real remains until his dying day, never finding them. Years passed. Finally, the same venerable monk who had advised Chai's parents, now an octogenarian, summoned Uncle Peck. He revealed the hidden location of Phai's buried remains, which had been hidden all this time. Uncle Peck, following the monk's instructions, unearthed her skeletal, dried-up body, which had endured years of decomposition. The monk then looked at Uncle Peck and declared, "You, Peck, you are the one who must send her off. Only then will she finally rest." Uncle Peck, a man of quiet determination, followed the monk's command, performing the sacred rituals, and finally cremating Phai's remains. The spirit that had tormented so many for so long was finally, truly defeated. But the story holds one last chilling twist, one that connects directly to the teller of this tale. After narrating Phai's horrifying saga, Uncle Peck looked at us, his eyes piercing. "Isn't that strange about the child with the curly hair and dark skin? The one believed to be the merchant's son?" He paused, letting the question hang in the air, then delivered the final, shocking revelation. That child was me. I am Phai's son. And in a final eerie symmetry, the very monk who revealed Phai's resting place, the one who facilitated her final send-off, met his own end years later, in a fire within his kuti, mirroring the death of the previous abbot, connected to the story's beginning. A cycle of fire, darkness, and ancient magic finally concluded.
leaving behind only the chilling echoes in the Priory Phai graveyard. And there you have it, the full, harrowing account of the demonic human, a saga that began with deception, spiraled through unspeakable acts of black magic, and concluded with a violent reckoning, only to reveal its most profound truth through the very voice that recounted it. The power of such stories lies not just in their ability to terrify, but to make us ponder the depths of human nature and the unseen forces that shape our world. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this journey into the supernatural, please consider showing your support. Your engagement helps us continue sharing these fascinating stories.